Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I've got for you a tank review on the K-91-PT, the tier 9 Russian tank destroyer, the kind of I was gonna say reward vehicle. It's kind of a reward vehicle, but you get it for playing through the battle pass, and you get it for collecting battle pass tokens. So I'm just gonna make a thumbnail here really quickly so I don't have to do it in a bit. Efficient content creator. There we go. Yeah, and today I'm going to be doing a tank review of this vehicle. The way this is going to work is obviously I'll show you some gameplay first. This is going to be an ace tanker. Spoiler alert. And then I'll go through the stats, I'll compare it to some other tanks, and then I'll give you my opinion on what I think this tank is about. So, first things first, the gameplay we are playing is on mines. We've got a pretty nice matchup. Tier 9s and tier 8s, pretty much 50-50 split. And I've come to this area that not a lot of people actually come to. It's an incredibly powerful area. It's kind of in this little dip here. As long as your team haven't let the enemies push right the way down to the K1 area, you can pretty much play, hold down, and as long as you've got a tank, like this is a favoured spot for me in things like the 260, the 277, things like that, 279, anything that's got a really good turret or something like that, and you can just play hold down. The only times you can't really use this position are if the enemy take the hill, like I said, or if the enemy take the island. However, if the enemy take the island, you can push like right into the corner, right into a certain spot, and actually still be relatively safe, which is not too bad. So, let's get actually into the K91. Now, what you can see here is, like I say, I'm using this tank's armor to the best advantage. We'll come on to the armor in a minute when we get into tanks GG, but basically, this thing's armor, the upper superstructure, godlike. The upper plate, lower plate, side, trash. All you need to know. The mobility of this tank is really nice, and that is what allowed me to push into that position at the start. You can see the gun. It's a very nice gun, really nice DPM. Only issue with it is accuracy, aim time, not that great, which kind of sets this tank up for how it needs to be played. And you can play it one of two ways. I've played it both ways, and both work relatively well. You've just got to, like with the new equipment 2.0 and like the field mod, sorry, the fact that you can set up and switch between. I haven't unlocked the ability to switch equipment yet, but you can set this thing up in two very different ways, and I will show you that in the garage. But when you set it up one of those two ways, you need to play it the way you have set it up. If you try and play it the opposite, you are gonna suck. Now, two ways is either A, like a brawler, which is how I'm playing it in this game, and how I've got the tank currently set up, or B, as more of a sniper, and I will again come to that in the equipment setup. You can see here this Charfuture massively underestimating my DPM, and also greatly underestimating how good my upper superstructure armor is. We've actually blocked 2,400 damage this game, and this tank is surprisingly good for that. So, like I said, you can play this tank either as a brawler or as a sniper. As a brawler, it's pretty good. Like I say, you've got that really... This thing's got kind of like a nice brutal gun. Something similar, kind of like the WZ-121 FT or GFT, however the hell you say it. The Tier 8 premium Chinese tank destroyer. Kind of plays relatively similar to that. Mobility is good. Armor is decent, the gun is really good, and just absolutely slaps people silly because they underestimate the DPM. They're just not able to kill it before it kills them because it's got mad DPM. Obviously, this thing not quite as brutal as that because that's got 440 alpha, one whole tier lower. This thing is 390 alpha, a tier higher, but still a very nice tank. The gun itself, penetration and damage-wise, is a 390 average damage gun. 258 millimeters of pen on the standard rounds, which is pretty good. That's a tier 10 tank. We'll spot the even 90 here. You can see the aim time is something that really does let me down in this tank. Like, you really do have to aim for quite a long time. Shell velocity of the standard rounds isn't great. The premium rounds, 390 damage again. 315 pen, very nice. How do I armor not hit? And half decent shell velocity on the premium, and I would not want to be this even 90 right now because, uh-oh, bye-bye. And that is the game there. 7 kills we managed to pick up that game. Again, the mobility of this tank, absolutely awesome. And that 12 damage that we took at the end of the game for ramming the even 90, the only damage I took the entire game was from ramming an even 90. And yeah, that's quite an interesting stat, to be fair. But yeah, this thing, that game, pure setup as a brawler. I would show you some sniper gameplay, but I don't actually have any, so you're just gonna have to take my word for it. But set up with things like improved aiming, vents, stuff like that. Again, I'll come to it when I swap over into the garage. You can set this thing up like a sniper. I kind of prefer to play it more like a brawler. I feel like it works slightly better that way. And yeah, anyway, let's go into Tanks GG and set up. Ooh, Discord ping. That was me. Everyone who's watching this video on PC and has just all of a sudden looked at their Discord. That was me. That's my bad. Yeah, let's jump over into Tanks GG and we will look at the post-game, not the post-game stats. I don't mean the post-game stats. I mean the statistics, and we'll compare it to some others. Lovely. So here we go, guys. So we've got the K-91-PT on the left-hand side, the Object 263 next to it. Probably the most direct competitor is the Tier 9 Russian tank destroyer in the tech tree. Kind of similar, good mobility, decent gun, etc., etc. And then I've gone for a T-54. Not so much for the gun performance or anything, but just so you can get an idea of what the mobility of this tank is like. So, first things first, looking at the DPM, yeah, we absolutely smashed that out of the water. And that is actually a good comparison to the T-54, because a lot of people know kind of what the T-54's DPM is actually like. So, yeah, smashed that out of the water. Pen, like I say, the pen's pretty good on the standard rounds. Premium rounds, decent, 315. Obviously, it falls a bit behind some Tier 9 TDs, like the Yag Tiger, the STRV, stuff like that. But it's still not too bad. You can still make it work. Does fall behind the 263 there. 390 average damage, like I said, it's still a good punch, but again, compared to a lot of Tier 9 TDs where you're getting 750 alphas like your T30s and stuff like that, and your kind of 550, 560s like the 263 in this example, and the Yag Tiger, the WT Panzer IV, stuff like that, it is a little on the low side, but obviously you do have the DPM to make up for that, and yeah, it's still okay. It's still quite nice. 122mm gun, if you didn't get that from the 390, and the fact it's Russian. Something that I will point out on this tank is the shell capacity is very, very, very low. You can only do just under 12,000 damage, which when you consider, when we get to it in a second, that the dispersion is pretty crap. You can run out of shells quite easily in this tank, and I've played like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 games in this thing. And I've been close to running out of shells a couple of times. You saw in that game, I'd only done, 4.2k, and some of that was to a ramming an even 90. And we were running out of shells. Like, it wasn't definitely 100% like, yeah, we'd have had enough shells to carry that game. Like I said, the gun handling is kind of what lets this thing down. 2.6 seconds aim time, 0.4 dispersion. Really, really, really sucks. And I know it's better than the 263, but obviously that thing hits a lot harder. It's got a lot better aim time as well, and the dispersions are also a lot better. Gun depression, only 5.5 degrees. I say only for 5.5. Again, better than the 263, but still, it's not great. You can't really work ridge lines with this thing. Gun traverse angles, so how much the gun can actually go to the left and the right without moving the hull, is, again, quite poor. And the fact that you've got all that mobility and you play it like a brawler, you still need to be careful of the fact that this thing doesn't actually have a turret, obviously, so you do need to be careful. However, mobility-wise, 52 kilometers an hour forwards, very nice. 23 backwards, very, very nice. 800 horsepower engine, 40-ton tank, gives it a 20 horsepower per ton, which is, like, the 263, I think people would say has got half-decent mobility. This thing is now, you know, really, really good. Like, that's almost T-54. Haven't got a turret, so it doesn't matter about turret traverse. Tank traverse, 45 degrees a second. That's where this thing absolutely smashes something like the 263 out of the water. And you've got to take into account as well, because it's a tank destroyer, a Russian tank destroyer, you've probably got clutch braking on the crew members because, you know, you don't have a turret on the tech tree tanks. So you're probably going to have clutch braking, which takes this thing up so high. You've basically got medium tank traverse, which means having things circle you is actually quite hard. I was playing this thing the other day, and a KPZ-07, whatever it is, the tier 8 one, actually struggled to like circle me. I could keep my gun trained pretty much on him the whole time, and I will show you what my actual tank traverse is when we jump into the garage. Armor we'll take a look at in just a second. 1600 hit points, a little bit on the low side, but it's not too bad. You just gotta be careful. Camo rating also very, very good, and this is, like I said, this is why you can play this thing as a sniper, because you can get really good camo on it as well. So it's one of those tanks that can be played in two ways, but has to be set up for each way. If not, if you set it up for one and try to play the other, you're really gonna struggle. Again, I will come onto that in the garage. 390 view range, not too bad. A lot better than the 260. Wow, I didn't realize that thing had that bad view range. That's really, really poor. And yeah. Right, let's jump. We'll jump into, just show you the armor real quick. If this is going to load. Thank you very much. So, like I said, it's pretty much, I pretty much covered it in the, in the gameplay. But basically, this bit, really good. This bit, really bad. And as you can see from that, flat ground, 300mm of effective over there and there. The mantler is pretty much impenetrable by anything. But then as soon as you drop below that, you're 180, you're getting penned by tier 8s absolutely easily, even tier 7s easily. Side armor isn't actually too bad, 60mm and 35 below the tracks, which means I have actually been able to quite successfully side scrape in this thing, because if you traverse the turret all the way, as long as they don't shoot you here, which you don't see a lot of these things at the minute, so people don't really know where to shoot it. As long as they don't shoot you here, they always try and shoot you in the upper superstructure, or at your angled side. You can actually bounce around and then back off really quickly, shoot, and then run back forwards so that they can't hit you again. I'll just show you the live collision model so you can see what 258mm of pen actually does. Didn't realise, if someone's actually above you, 40mm plate. Okay, so if they've got 121mm caliber gun or higher, they can overmatch your roof and your deck as well. But the armor is actually pretty bloody good, as you saw in that game, and this thing gets the added bonus that not many people actually know where to shoot it, because there aren't a lot of these things around just yet. Anyway, let's jump over into the garage, and I will show you what equipment setups I would recommend, and how you can play the tank. Right, so going quickly over the equipment. Like I say, I'm not going to bother with crew, because crew is crew, math is math. Because you're probably going to be moving a crew in. I've gone from a 268, you might be going from a 2684, you might be going from your ISU, anything like that. But equipment-wise, as far as I see it, you're going to want to be running a gun rammer in either one of your two loadouts, and you're going to want to put that in your firepower slot, because an extra 11.5% to your reload time. Boom, 3,500 DPM, lovely. Your other options, like I say, two very distinct ways of playing this tank. In my opinion, you either want to run rotation and vents, or you want to run improved aiming and camo net. Improved aiming and camo net, obviously for sniping, you bring your dispersion down to about, I think, about 0.33, and you put your camo ratings up to just madness when you're stationary. Like, I'm at 50% camo, and 47% camo, sorry, and that's without a camo net. So, when you put a camo net on as well, that's absolutely mental. And the improved aiming as well. If not, you want rotation mechanism. Like I said when we were going through the stats, my traverse speed is 63 degrees a second. Which, to put that into perspective, like the 2684, 25 degrees a second. Like, let's have a look. Probably one of the fastest traversing tanks in the game. The Object 907 is... Oh, I've completely lost it. Where is it? Oh, mobility. 67. So, yeah. That's... What? I can't remember what I just said. 63 to 67. That's not far off. And this is a tank destroyer, not a medium tank. So it's absolutely mental that you can get away with that. Obviously, rotation mechanism helps with dispersion as well. This thing, being the kind of tank it is, it does get the standard large repair kits. That's always nice. I do run premium consumable on this tank. If you get hit in the front, it is a Russian tank. I believe it has the fuel tanks in the front. You can be set on fire. I think it's worth the risk, although if I don't know, in my brawling setup, I'd be more likely to take a fire extinguisher than I would, obviously, my sniping setup. In a sniping setup, you definitely want to take the premium consumable. But I haven't really decided yet. I haven't played a huge amount of games in this tank the way it is. But yeah, that is those are what I would recommend for you two equipment setups. So, the burning question that people are probably going to be asking me is, what would you recommend this thing over the Char Future, the AE Phase 1, etc, etc, etc? Now, I've got to actually find where it is. There we go. The Kunze-Panzer, everything like that. I don't know, really, is the long and the short of it. The reason I bought this tank is because I already had the Char and the 777 from previous seasons. I bought the Kunze-Panzer on the earlier season this year. And then, for me, it was the choice between the K-91-PT and the AE Phase 1. Now, the reason I didn't pick the AE Phase 1 was because I have the Concept 1B, so in my opinion, I don't need the AE Phase 1 right now. Like, obviously, if there's another Season Pass, which I believe there is, I will get the AE Phase 1 because I've got nothing else left to buy. But I haven't got a desperate, need to get the AE because, in my opinion, the Concept is just better in every single way. The K-91-PT, I'm not going to lie to you, a lot more fun and a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I didn't think it was going to be that much of a special tank. I honestly thought it was going to be very much a meh, kind of a throwaway tank, play a couple of games, and that would be it. I quite like it. I think it's actually, from what people have told me on the stream, it is actually quite easy to 3-mark, so I might give it a go at 3-marking it at some point. I would say if you absolutely had to if you had no other tier 9 tanks, or no other tier 9 reward tanks, sorry, and you had to pick one of these tanks, I would pick the AE Phase 1. It's probably the best all-rounder. It's got good gun depression, half-decent mobility, decent turret armor, half-decent gun. You can't go wrong with it. It's jack of all trades, American heavy. It's good all-round. Beyond that, if you're a really good player, and you're kind of like, well, I'm good in my bat chat, I'm good at mediums, I think probably the tank that you can get the most out of is going to be the Char Future. I think it's probably the highest skill cap, but definitely high risk, high reward if you can play it well. Also, I would say the K-91-PT is also very good. It is good along those lines. You have to know how to play it, but when you do play it well, it is a very good tank. Kunze-Panzer, I wasn't overly impressed with, and the 777 as well. It probably, in my opinion, slightly better than the Kunze-Panzer, but not as good as the AE, or, well, the Concept 1B for me, but not as good as the AE. Its gun is a bit trash, and the armor's good, but the gun is a bit trash, so yeah. But along the short of it, I'd probably say, yeah, it's actually quite a valid choice. The only reason I would be hesitant to buy it, if, say you've got 18 Battle Pass tokens, if you've completed the Battle Pass all the way through to the end, I'd get, like, the AE and the Char, because they're 9 tokens each. The K-91-PT is 12 tokens, which kind of makes it that awkward level that you can only get the K-91-PT. It's not like you can get the K-91 and then something else. You then have to wait for the next Battle Pass. But if you get it, definitely would recommend it. It is a half-decent tank. And yeah, on that, let's just go jump. I'll just show you the post-game stats very quickly from the Ace Tank gameplay at the start of the video. So, nice and quickly, guys. That was, obviously, as I said at the start, no secrets there. It's probably in the title as well. Good job, Max. That is an Ace Tanker. Top Gun as well, because we got 7 kills. Honestly, when playing this game, I was like, I got to the end and went, oh, I got 7 kills. Where did all those come from? But then looking back on it, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Including that very, very, very unfortunate even 90 who got squished quite a lot. We got 1,377 base XP, which is actually quite a lot of base XP for the damage we did, I thought. But then, at the same time, kills obviously equal a lot of XP, which is just one of those things. Beating the 777 and the Char Future on the enemy team, I feel like there's kind of like a nice roundness to that. The fact that I was just talking about those two and we beat them out. 4,191 damage, which is very nice. Fired 21 shots, hit 15 and penned 13. Like I said, that poor, what am I trying to say? The poor dispersions, the poor aim time and everything like that really does mean that you do struggle to hit shells. And obviously, like I said, you only get, I think it was 30 rounds of ammunition. So I only had 9 rounds left at the end of the game. And when that's your hit ratio, and I only did 4,000 damage, it's actually quite hard to carry in this tank. If you fire a lot of blind shots off or a lot of like half-aim shots at the beginning of the game, and then you're required to carry at the end of the game, you're probably going to struggle quite a lot of the time. We blocked 2,760 damage with our armor, which is quite nice. 800 assistance damage as well, which is very nice. Credits, don't look into that. I got some for a payout for a personal mission or something. This tank does not make good credits, and obviously running premium consumable and firing a lot of gold that I did as well, you're not going to do that great. 5-minute game, which seems to be the way that most games go in these days, although it is what it is. This thing with a good DPM, it's not too bad in situations like that. And yeah, so other than that, thank you all so much for watching, guys. Make sure that you give the video a like if you've enjoyed or found it useful in any way. Make sure you're subscribed as well to my YouTube channel, and head over to Twitch if you haven't been over there before. I'll be streaming, hopefully from when this video goes out, tomorrow night at 8 o'clock British summertime, which is definitely a time zone in the rest of the world. Google it. That's what Google's for. Other than that, make sure you subscribe, turn notifications on. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.